head, bare leather jackets, bare skin hands, bare leather belt, hyper advanced bear pants. I'm a bear, if that wasn't clear. Ladies, gentlemen, and fashion hunters of all ages, if you sat down a group of hunters in a room together and then asked them what the most important part of Monster Hunter is, they would probably have a pretty feisty debate. A good chunk of people would say monsters. A good chunk of them would say it's the weapons and the combat. And then there would be a few undebatably correct people being very vocal saying it's all about the fashion. Hunting is great, but it's pointless unless you look good while you're doing it. And the monsters are fantastic, but how can you be alright showing your face in front of them without covering it with something stylish? At the end of the day, the true endgame of Monster Hunter is looking good as hell, and on this channel we love ourselves a good fashion set, which is why we run our community-driven fashion competition. So today we're going to revive it up for Title Update 3. We're going to look at a whole load of new fashion sets submitted by you guys, some of which are going to be using bits from the 2 new armor sets in this title update. There will be a top 20 armor sets, with the quick note that the actual ordering of the 20 is not to be taken too seriously. It's mostly just to give me a format to show them all in a bit of a fun way. And of course, fashion is subjective, so you might disagree or agree with me, but hopefully by the end of today, you will come away happy with what you have seen. Past the rank list itself, we will also have a couple of cosplay winners of the day, which are specific cosplay fashion sets, and as you'll already have been seeing them here, we've got honorable mentions too, which, just to put it simply, these are all armor sets that I thought were awesome and worth sharing with you all, but just didn't quite make the proper top 20 list for me personally. But hats off, or in some cases hats on if you prefer to have the hat as part of your fashion, to these viewers for their awesome fashion submissions as well. That said, getting into the list proper, we've got number 20 Sweet Bun, submitted by Natsu20, and look, it's creative as hell, it's awful, and it's also incredible at the same time. I just wanted to share this while also being able to explain why, at least a little bit, which is to say that this is like their take on a rabbit where the ears are made of fire, and this has so much creativity in it. It's going to like give me nightmares moving forward, sure, but I also appreciate it heavily at the same time. It may not be like mainstream fashion set, but it is art. It makes you feel things. Second today, then, we've got Quematrice Gamma, which is a set submitted by Crunchy Pudding, which isn't generally what I want my pudding to taste like. This one uses the Quematrice helm as the main recognizable Quematrice armor bit, and then just mixes it with some other armor set parts to sort of imagine what an arch-tempered Quematrice armor set would look like as far as the shape and the colors. The Raydao pants are a classic fashion piece. Arkveld gloves with a little shield on them I really like for the aesthetic that they're going for, as it goes great with the battle chest and the alloy waist. The color matching done through the pigments on this one is very solid as well. I wouldn't bat an eye, honestly, if we got Master Rank Quematrice and its armor looked relatively similar to this, which is exactly the type of feeling they were going for, so this one is awesome. In 18th place, we've got the Golden Goddess, which was submitted without a name, so I cannot give this person the credit they deserve, as this is a beautiful armor set. Dahaad pants in white is something that I've always really liked. It just looks really clean, and then mixing that with Blangonga waist and the gold continues the clean look even further, which also mixes great with the little like Dahaad skirt bit that's a part of the pants. The gloves are just there to have basically bare hands, which is a solid look, and then the new Udra chest piece is a fun decision here. It looks very unique in white, and usually it's hard to make the bony type color parts of it match with metallic textures, but trying to make it essentially golden bones does work surprisingly well in this specific scenario to put the whole aesthetic together, and then just Dahaad helmet on top for the fun shape and the extra bits that also ties back to the look of the legs on the bottom. In 17th place, we've got Raydao hoodie, which was submitted by Bathu. That's not a typo, that's their name, and their fashion is pretty on point. The Raydao chest piece is a really fun and unique piece that they essentially just wanted to put a whole set together around, viewing it as a piece of casual wear, like as the name suggests, a hoodie. I like the color work on the Hirabami legs to make them match very nicely, but the thing that truly stands out most to me on this one is the Chatacabra waist, colored in red like that, just pops like all hell, and it looks almost out of place until you notice that it matches the coloring on the inside of the hood from the chest piece, which then fades out to the sunglasses also being red, and it's vibrant and bright and in your face, but it's also very controlled and connected in a way that I actually really like. 16th place today is this unnamed set from Angel. A relatively straightforward combo, but a very slick looking one. Essentially, this mixes the new Bale armor set from Title Update 3 with Guardian Rathalos armor, and the effect of it is pretty solid. They add on the Raydao gloves just to sort of mix the aesthetics together, and you might have noticed, but I did also put this on my own character just so I could show you it in motion. The sleek leather chest and waist of this looks great, the monster part covered helm and legs looks great, but the gloves have that perfect texture to tie it all in a bow. This isn't like the most out there crazy fashion set I've ever seen by any means. It is simple, it is sleek, the form is great, and it's a solid use of one of the new armor sets that we've got in the game. In 15th place, we've got Main Hunter, submitted by Luna's owner. To be clear, this is a fashion set that is meant to represent a palico being the player hunter themselves, and the person who submitted this fashion didn't give me their own name, but did tell me the name of their cat, so it only seemed reasonable to attribute this fashion set the way that I did. That said, it is very solid. I love sets that use the silly helmets and then branch out of them into a full fashion aesthetic. I've got plenty of these based around the silly helmets, including the cat helmet itself, and the main thing for me with this one is I really just sort of love the look of the clerk waist and the affy legs as well with it. This one doesn't do anything too crazy really. I like the way that the leather jacket in stark black almost looks like just an extension of fur. I like the vibe of it a lot. I like the way that the uncolorable bits of the jacket also sort of match the color on the inside of the cat ears, almost looking like skin popping out. I like the very open, breathable clothing to show off the fur, but something about those shorts specifically just feels like I could see a gigantic, oversized talking cat choose to wear them. It just feels correct. In 14th place then we've got Royal Jade Dragon, submitted by Asdi. This one is phenomenal. Right owl horns are a pretty common accessory, but this specific color choice on them looks really special to me. It's not a color that I see often in fashion sets, but I love the way that it sort of plays between the blue and the green through the material of the horns and the way it reflects in that. The duna chest piece is a classic fashion piece used quite frequently, but again, that specific shade of aqua interacting with the way that the pigment applies to the chest creates a really fun split of blue and green through the piece, despite it being only one singular pigment used. Then the dahaad arms, fantastic shape to them, the gold fits perfectly, and then just a hint of that aqua coming off of it too. The shuwu waist with a super vibrant blue on the hair looks fantastic and fits very well, and then the Seregios pants for the natural, perfectly matching gold, and yet another example of a texture that plays very interestingly with this specific aqua pigment in a really nice way. I love this set, and more than anything, it's just that very specific color choice and how it interacts with all the different textures on the different armor. In 13th place today, we've got Not So Stealthy Archer, submitted by Bahab. I like the general aesthetic for this one here. Shuwu helmet with that nice deep red on the mask looks really good, and I love the way that it plays off of mizutsune pants in black and gold, with the suja waist having the red sash on it too. The green is just an unchangeable color from the chest piece, of course, but they tie it together with the swords in a way that makes it take a very loud color and lets it be nice and subtle throughout the set as a whole. Then these saccharitide gloves are just a perfect pairing for the colors and the shape of the rest of the armor. It's a relatively unique combination of pieces, and I really enjoy the helm, waist, and pants combo specifically. 12th place then, we've got another unnamed set, this one from Nova Shogun. This is going to be one of our simpler sets today, but I just can't help but talk about it because it does look really, really good. This set is Bale, chest and waist, combined with the Omega legs and specifically female Omega arms. Then the saccharitide mask helmet shoved on top, and all of it then just colored black and gold. It looks gorgeous. It's hard to argue against this, even if it is for the most part just mixing the two new armor sets together and then sticking a cool mask on top. Absolutely, it does deserve to be here. It is a fantastic bit of fashion. Moving on to the next entry then, we've got another unnamed set, this one submitted by Nate L. Just to be careful not to use your full last name on that one. But this is a nice solid set with good piece mixing. Specifically, sealed dragon cloth is generally quite good looking as a helm slot piece, combined with the Uthuna chest colored with that deep red is very nice. I very rarely see Uthuna colored with a very deep color like that, unless people are going full on like black, and I do like the way that this looks. Similar with the Uthuna arms as well. Mixing it with the Balahara waist is great. The shape and form of that waist goes incredibly with the chest piece, and then Guardian Fulguranjnath pants were pretty surprisingly on the bottom of this, but the specific shape of the plate on the left leg exactly works great with the waist, and the coloring works surprisingly well with that deep red on it as well. After that, in 10th place, we've got another very unnamed set, this one submitted by Lord Williams, and this is just one that looks very pretty, no other way about it. The big main pieces on this are the Xochitl waist, of course, but then also the Seregios helmet colored in pure stark white, mixing with the glowing white face makeup on it too. Personally, I think this one would read a little bit better if the glow effect was toned down just a touch, but I love the angelic aesthetic that they're going for, and it shines right through. Even the big exposed muscly chest sort of fits it, and it's a solid look all around that I imagine probably looks even better at nighttime. Then we've got number 9, which is Odo Common, submitted by Natsu20. This looks really, really good. Very dark and tactical looking, and obviously the Odogaron mask is like the main thing the set is generally based around, but I'm a really big fan of the entire rest of the set aside from that. The mix of the diver chest, the gore magala arms, diver belt, and Ray Dow greaves, and that very dark black, gray, and super dark blue sort of color palette mixed together looks like an excellent representation of like modern military tactical gear inside of Monster Hunter. The helmet gives it that Monster Hunter flavor, and as a result, I could see this being like a hunter who specializes only in hunts at nighttime. Maybe they do quote-unquote special missions that require things to be done quietly and sneakily. It's a very solid fashion set with great vibes. Moving on to number 8, this is Ancient Tombs Keeper, submitted by Roasted Chicken 17, and a moment of silence for the 16 other chickens that were roasted beforehand. This is one of those fashion sets that has a little bit of funkiness to it, but in a way that personally matches the funkiness that I like. I always love the Zoshia chest piece with the extra arms on it, but pairing that with the beetle helmet with the big prong sticking right off the top of the forehead, it just has this very upwardly progressing pointiness to the set as a whole that I find really catches the eye. The Raidao arms are a classic, the Raidao waist almost always looks good, but in this specific case, they again add to the sort of shape of the set as a whole. They're a lot wider down at the bottom, so it just sort of slims up as you head up the armor piece, which then draws your eyes even further up towards the top of the set into the extra limbs and the beetle prong, and I know this one will be a bit more divisive than some of the previous entries, but I really like the way that it looks personally. Then we've got number 7, Heavy Artillery, a set submitted by That Hunter Rex. You don't see green armor sets all that often, so when a good one shows up, I am immediately intrigued. The heavy metal chest is one of my favorite pieces in the entire game, honestly. Specifically, this nice slimmer version of it and the way that the texture works on it is lovely. The big floppy hood from the Hope set works surprisingly well on top of this. It plays well into the Artian gloves, and then the Rathian waist works perfectly in a green focused set. And of course, the ingot legs on the bottom just for that little bit of fur to match the fur and the hood on the top. Just a nice, well-shaped, coherent set with an infrequently used main color by other players. In 6th place, we've got an unnamed set submitted by Yeah! And this thing is just beautiful. Omega and Bale armor mixed for the most part with Jin Dahaad helmet on top. I've got Josh modeling the set in game as we originally only had pictures and I wanted to show it in motion, but this is how it looked to begin with, and it's just a really solid one. Omega chest and Omega legs, Bale gloves and Bale waist, and then the Jin Dahaad helmet on top, then just bright white and gold to really stand out very nicely. This is another relatively simple combination of the 2 new armor sets to do, but it looks very good and unique from the other one we talked about earlier too. On to the 5th place entry then, we've got Sea Empress, submitted by Rue, and I absolutely adore how colorful and vibrant this is. It uses the Melahoa helmet, which is so rare to see, with Duna female chest, Noble gloves, Hirobami waist, which is apparently an excellent canvas for some good pigment work, and then new Udra pants on the bottom too. There are multiple different shades of blue in this set, multiple different purples, some greens, and then a bunch of nice fades in between all of those, just from the natural colors present on the armor pieces themselves. And it just comes together in an extremely coherent way that you do not often get when you are using multiple different bright colors together in Monster Hunter Wilds, and I respect the ingenuity required to put this whole thing together quite a bit. Up in 4th place, we've got Crimson Unit from Natsu20, and this one is a real treat. The main sort of reference point to the goal, I guess, looks to be the Artian armor in this really pale red color, which is a lovely color to see. The Artian helmet and the legs as a sort of outer point, and then the way that it curves up through the high metal waist with that really cool texture on it is great. The Nersilla gloves fit the mech-like aesthetic quite well, leading into the Jin Dahaad chest piece, and again, this is just not a color that you often see applied to this armor piece, and I really like the way that it looks. Not to mention the sort of triangular trim on the collar of the chest perfectly matches the pointed chin on the Artian helmet, and it's just this really pleasing shape from bottom to top, and it almost honestly looks like you could roll this hunter up into a ball, and all the pieces would just slot together and lock into place so that they would stay in the ball shape forever. Moving on to our 3rd place entry of the day, we have an unnamed set from Ninja made of Jello, and that is not a typo, their Jello only has 1 L, and I respect that. We only got 1 picture for this one, but it was too good not to include regardless, as a sort of demon type aesthetic with the Omega chest piece at the heart of it. Raidao helmet for the horn horns, of course, and some nice color work on it to make it somewhat evil looking, but still very nice and very vibrant. The chest with that blue sort of color just plays so nicely as well. The dahaad arms are a great shape match for sure, but the thing that I really love especially is the diver belt into shia pants on this one. Something about the way that the blue glows out from inside of the shia pants works very well with the omega chest, and the way the blue feels like it's coming from underneath that chest as well. It looks like there's a sort of like energy trying to burst out of this hunter from every part of them at any given moment, and I really love that. In second place then we have an unnamed set from Mickey Mew Mew, and this is another take on omega chest in a nearly opposite direction, being a white angelic beauty with the shia feather waist as the main sort of anchor piece of contrast. The white and black playing back and forth through this is a classically lovely color scheme, or I guess a shading scheme, and the form of shia waist being really wide at the bottom and then slimming up, sort of matching the flow of the chest tapering off to a point near the throat, and then just the white fluffy ears on top of course just adds to it in a way too. This feels less specifically like an angel, I guess, and more like some strange unheard of mythical creature that just happens to have some human-like features. Then before we break into the final slot today, we have our 2 cosplay set winners of the day, starting with Inuyasha from Inuyasha, submitted by Insomniac Stoner 420, and this is absolutely spot on. Not the most complex cosplay target, being just like a big baggy red robe, but done very, very well in this entry. The baggy chainmail to make it work on the arms, the oni horns in white, the clerk suit works great, and then of course the mizutsune pants fit the shape quite well, and the udra waist lets you have the classic sheathed sword at the hip, even if you do end up with a few too many swords. The other cosplay winner of the day then is Hornet from Hollow Knight Silksong, submitted by Batty Bunny. They submitted a couple of different helmet options, but this is the one that felt more accurate to me personally, which is new Udra helmet for the pointy face, then Raidou chest matched with Lullabarina waist for the perfectly shaped red pointy body, and then Artian legs and shia gloves to perfectly fit the shape and color of the arms and legs of the character too. Just a really solid, accurate cosplay set all around as far as I'm concerned. Finally then, in first place today we have Demon Regalia, submitted by Suko, who is now the currently reigning fashion master until the next episode of the series. Very, very well done. This one is awesome. This again uses the Omega chest piece. A big theme of some of the new armor sets is seeing this used a lot, but this time it's being used with the Bale waist and then mixed in with a bunch of classic armor around it. The arkveld horns coming off of the top with a big messy haircut gives it a real barbarian kind of feel, but the arkveld horns specifically, as opposed to like the horns from the bone armor, are a lot more fitting with a manufactured armored metal type look around it. These Shuwu gloves work great, and so do these Seregios pants, but the thing that I really like with this one is that they have a lot of black, a bit of gold, but importantly, some of the things that look black to the eye are actually a very, very deep blue, which then when applied to that specific material looks the same way that the black does on a different armor piece. It's just one of those things that isn't immediately noticeable on the surface, but requires that bit of extra effort when putting in a fashion set together, and I just think that this set as a whole looks absolutely fantastic. So again, congratulations Suko on your win today. That just about does it for today, and everyone, more or less just an excuse to share cool fashion sets created by you guys, by the community, and share them with you guys, so that you can inspire each other, or even just take the ones that you like and use them for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and as a reminder, there will be a form linked below this video where you can submit entries for yourself for a chance to show up in future episodes of the series, and you can also submit them through the fashion channel in our Discord, though those ones will often get lost over time just to general conversations in the chat, whereas the form submissions don't, so try and keep it to the form as much as you can, and try to send us the same type of stuff you've been seeing in the video here: a short clip of the set in the equipment appearance menu, a name for the set, your own name that you want to be credited by, and then a nice spin around to show the armor set from all angles, and any action shots you might want to throw in too. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and feel free to leave your own thoughts on the fashion sets down in the comments below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe with the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.